predicted. WJ against Darrell Alderman, who's had a new engine installed in his Dodge Daytona. Earlier, Steve had a chance to talk with a finalist.
You know, at Houston, Scott went to the starting line knowing he probably didn't have the better car. You may have the better car. How does that change tactics at all?
Well, you know, the rule of thumb that I always go by on staging is that if I have lane choice, I always go in first. I mean, I think that's the fair way to do it. And, you know, I ran faster than him the last time, and I have lane choice, so I'll go in first. I mean, I might sit there for a little while, but I'll go in first.
You know, ask Warren which of the Dodges he wanted to race. It didn't matter. They're both just as ugly.
Yeah, we're going to put her in four-wheel drive this final round here and see if we can get us a win.
Look out for the Jeep.
Well, they're both just sitting there. This could well be described same chapter, second verse. This is what went on 2 weeks ago at Houston with the Oldsmobile of Warren Johnson, and that time the Dodge of Scott Jeffrey on. Now they're in, and Darrell Alderman red lights. Warren Johnson played the game to perfection, and Darrell Alderman wasted a 7-11. The win going to Warren Johnson with a slower 7-13, but it was all decided because Darrell Alderman couldn't keep the clutch in for just a few more thousandths of a second. Let's watch in replay. He left the starting line too soon. The red light came on the Christmas tree, and that indicates instant disqualification. So Warren Johnson extends his lead in the points chase. Darrell Alderman has moved into second, followed by Scott Jeffrey on. Kurt Johnson is fourth, and Jim Yates remains number 5. Steve?
Good thing he red lighted, huh? I didn't even have any idea he red lighted. I thought he had just got the farm, but nope. Unbelievable. It's one of those races that some days it goes your way, and unfortunately some days it doesn't.
This is the 4th year you've won here.
It's incredible. I don't know what it is about this racetrack. There's another racetrack over in Tennessee that I almost can't lose at. And what it is, maybe I should buy stock in these racetracks. Congratulations.
Warren Johnson, your champion in Pro Stock Eliminator. This is the final in funny car. You're looking inside the Castrol GTX Lumina of John Force. The body comes up. Austin Coyle, the crew chief, dips under the car, turning on the second magneto to fire the second 8 spark plugs. There's a total of 16, 2 per cylinder. Ronnie Swearingen, the head wrench for Casey Spurlock, gives him the A-OK sign as Hollywood Spurlock continues his quest for a Winston title, returning to this sport after laying out for a few years. He was the NHRA Winston Rookie of the Year back in 1990. Then at the end of that season, stopped racing for a while, and he red lights. Unbelievable occurrences, and John Force is fighting that car all the way through the quarter mile. 1,320 feet of controlled mayhem. John Force wins it at a 5:34, 263-mile-an-hour charge. Let's take a look at this one again as Casey Spurlock in the far lane left the starting line 4 thousandths of a second too quick. He took a shot at the tree and almost pulled it off. But John Force, drifting dangerously close to the center line, was able to corral that Lumina, even though fire was coming out of the headers. He crossed the finish line a winner and advanced in the points chase. In fact, all the way to the top spot, followed by Spurlock, Hoffman, Etchels, and Pendragon. Let's go down to the far end of the racetrack and join Steve.
You know, Spurlock red lighted.
Hard.
Then you flirted with the center line. Had you crossed it, he'd have been the winner, even though he red lighted.
No matter. This heap was on fire. Stuff was flying out the roof. I couldn't even believe it. I didn't know what happened. Then she just drove around that old boy. This is the way. Speaking of my sponsors, Castrol, Jolly Rancher, Wax Shop, Framwell, Wheel, and all my buddies, I'm allowed to say that because I'm calling you for parts. I ruined everything.
And it still isn't over there. It wants more.
Hey, I think we're in the points lead. And the nightmare continues, kiddies.
And what a nightmare it is for his fellow funny car competitors. To the top fuel eliminator race at an NHRA Winston Championship event. Son Scott Coletta, at the age of 32, is taking on his dad, Connie Coletta, who is 56. Connie, 24 years old when his son Scott was born, picked up his first national event title way back in 1967. That was the year that he won the Winter Nationals at Pomona, California. The fans here in Gainesville getting a real treat, just like the fans in Houston did 2 weeks ago when these two cars squared off, and it produced the quickest side-by-side race ever. Scott won that one. This time it's all the old man as Connie Coletta whips his kid off the starting line, then drives away from him on the racetrack to set low elapsed time of the meet, a 4:79 at 290 miles an hour. Watch this one in replay and enjoy. In the far lane is Connie Coletta. He moved first, and the horsepower produced by his crew chief, Tim Richards, more than enough to easily outdistance Scott Coletta towards the finish line. Scotty running into some problems. The car down on horsepower. It was obvious in his elapsed time, a 4:95 at 271. Steve?
Connie Coletta has won the Gator Nationals at 4.79 seconds over his own son. Neat, huh?
Neat. Very neat. Real awesome.
Did you think the car would run that well?
Tim says, we'll see if it all works. That's what happened. He pulled it out of the bag.
And it couldn't be finer than racing your own youngster there.
Just awesome, and I'm ecstatic about it.
This drag racing stuff is fun.
It sure is. Sure is. It's fun to win.
And that's a luxury that Connie's not been enjoying as of late. His last victory came way back in 1986. Well, Scott Coletta's taken over the lead in the Winston Points chase, followed by Joe Amato. Connie has jumped from 8th to 3rd by virtue of the big win. Number 4, Corey Mack. Shelley Anderson is number 5. The 1994 NHRA Mack Tools Gator Nationals has been brought to you by new advanced high-tech formula Quaker State Motor Oil. It's formulated for today's high-tech engines.